This is
Hello,
all,
everyone.
This can all be.
We're talking. We've got our urine specialist here, Marcy.
As they say, if you're not seeing sediment, you're in trouble.
Oh man, yeah, I, I'm telling. I don't think there's anything you haven't done. And the thing is, you ought to do stand-up comedy because you're good. You come up with this stuff like this. I'm telling you. And that's the important thing is you got to keep your laughter up. I'm telling you, you've always heard studies done on laughter and stuff and how important that is, even if you don't feel good. Try to step back away from your body and realize you're not your body and find some semblance of happiness and joy and laughter despite the hell that some of you are going through. There's no question. Some of you are going through some real tough healing crisis. And you just got to work yourself through these. Remember the 4 stages we talked about: acute, subacute, chronic, and degenerative. And you're backing yourself out of these stages. The problem we see today, of course, is the chronic levels.
Yeah.
You know, the acute levels were always suppressed by chemical medications. No big deal. These doctors were the gods of the... but now you can't suppress chronic. Chronic's chronic. And that's why this is all in everybody's face now. The problem in our face is the level of work we have to do is much deeper.
Right.
You notice? Notice we went from 1 kidney formula to 2 kidney formulas. Until people sometimes months without filtering, others start filtering right off.
Yes.
So I wanted to do a short video for you. I know I've been lagging. There's so much going on. We're now RV dwellers. But there
Simplifying life.
Exactly. Getting ready for the big bang. Whichever bang that is. Good question. This was a question brought up by an individual asking to talk about thyroid, cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes. Well, we're going to do a joint discussion, just a video all on sugar metabolism problems, beta cell, type 1 problems, things like this. And Marcy's a type 1, of course, and so we're going to be talking about that, what she's doing and her focus, the different types of type 1, and the adrenal glands, a role of those adrenal glands, a role of the pituitary in this, and really kind of get into these a little bit for you so you can understand hyper and hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar, and high blood sugar, which is called diabetes type 2. These are sugar metabolism problems. Notice medical doctors have to use diseases to classify. And the problem is sometimes they use common words to turn it into a disease, makes it complicated with the FDA and us and everything else, because like our antispasmodic formula, there might be a problem because spasms are not medical terminology. It's just a factor of what's going on. So it's that sort of thing. Well, cholesterol is easy to understand. Now, I know we've had a lot of videos taken down, and I don't even know what's up. I know we have an attorney working on those videos to get them up. Cholesterol, of course, is the body's main antacid. And I'll say this to you new folks who are just tuning in. The vitalness of you learning the simplicity of your sewer system in your body is vital to your wellness. I'll say this, most people have known about blood, they've learned about that a little bit, but they don't understand the body's gigantic sewer system, which remember is 3 times bigger than the blood. And so this is an important system to understand because this is where everybody's pain and tumors and inflammation and all this is in.
Right.
So this is the system that you must learn about, and the connection that the kidneys have. Forget what others say. Start researching on your own. This is why we say fill the boot.
Yep.
You know, get that sediment going because your symptomology will be still hanging around until you see good filtration. Do you see that in your clients too?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Me too. Once you see that filtration, then you start to see all these acids coming out and all these symptoms back away and the body repairs itself. Cool stuff. Just remember cholesterol is a lipid designed for steroid use for interstitial fluid use, and of course HDL is used with phospholipids in the cell wall. Why? Because we have a battle going on. As you see on this planet, there's a lot of battles. This is considered by the Galactic Federation of blah, blah, blah as a warring planet. It's been labeled that. There's warnings around those people that are in the know more about that. So it's a tough place for souls to find happiness and joy on, that's for sure. And the battle continues at this level of consciousness in the world of chemistry. When you don't understand that just the two sides, the duality, and every spiritual being is always taught that. You know, from Jesus to Moses to everyone else is taught duality. And one must understand the two sides, the positive and the negative. You know, we always love the positive because it always gives us things that we feel good about. What we don't understand is the negative also gives you what you think you don't need, but really is what you need, because opposites attract. You notice that? And so the problem with that is that you don't always want to have the opposite nature in your life, because that's what you're trying to get away from. But it brings balance within the individual, and that's important. Cholesterol is used as an antacid. You can use the word anti-inflammatory, if you will, but an antacid. And this, of course, is produced by the liver. Deepak Chopra, Dr. Wild, many great medical doctors, I'll say, have commented on that. I've referred to a letter that I think 4 or 5 medical doctors wrote. I've got it in these piles somewhere. Wrote about the statins and how it's ridiculous to think that when you look at blood serum cholesterol levels, that also is related to what's going on in the lymph system. And it is far from accurate. Your blood serum cholesterol levels can be fine and go down with a stroke or heart attack. And that's what you just got to learn, is that this has to do with an entirely different system, and that cholesterol actually plaques in the lymphatic system. It has no reason to plaque in the vascular system, because the vascular system is base chemistry. And base chemistry doesn't create this anionic situation, because when it does, we call that blood clots. We call that serious, and that can happen in small variances of pH. If people really knew that dumping a piece of dead animal in the bloodstream is indicative of that variance problem that can create coagulation or agglomeration of blood cells, they back away from that. And that's the problem. The body's always seeking to maintain that blood pH. Almost impossible interstitially. Because there's so many acids and waste products coming from the cells that's left to the bacteria and the lymph nodes to take care of that. And of course, any cell damage is left to the macrophage babies. So the lymph nodes are vital in this whole issue of taking cellular acids and getting them to the kidneys in a level that won't burn the kidneys. And remember, the level of acids at the cell level is around 3 pH, but you want to be peeing out 6 pH, because to pee out 3 pH would be like peeing Coke, and that would not feel too good. You know, you talk about UTIs and things like this. Those with interstitial cystitis are feeling 3 pHs, because that's interstitial. That's right where the cells are. Interstitial means around the cells. And of course, that's filled with a liquid fluid that is cholesterol or lipid based. And then you have your corticosteroids, which is cholesterol based. They come in. It's kind of like if you have pain in your shoulder and your medical doctor says, well, I can take care of that. I can give you a shot of cortisol or cortisone. Then my next question is, why isn't my adrenal glands taking care of this pain? If cortisol will take care of this, I produce cortisol. How come that isn't happening? And it's simple to understand. And that's when you can link the adrenal failure to all these problems. And then when you understand they sit on top of the kidneys are eliminative organs of what? Why would you be peeing? Why would you be sweating? What is the role of elimination in one's health? And this is essential that the medical community learn this, because most medications, except for I think Mucinex now, are suppressive instead of expectorants. And this is why you see so many escalations of symptoms. And when you try to suppress chronic levels, it just gets worse. So you see what we're up against is real bad stuff here.
You had mentioned this earlier with the cholesterol, but I've got a lot of clients that come in, their cholesterol numbers on their blood work are normal, but you look in their eyes, the cholesterol ring that starts, the plaquing that you see, and it's because of the acids.
Exactly. And thank God, we have iridology. I have to say this. For those that don't like it or care for it, go ahead and be that way. We don't care. I can just tell you that thank you, Dr. Jensen. Thank you, Van Paxley. Thank you, Lindlar. Thank you, all you guys who put your time and effort in giving us a science that will show us the internal workings of the human body without stress, without labor, and without invasive procedures and toxic procedures like radiation and things like this. What a beautiful look, because just what you said, Marcy, you get to see, my cholesterol's good, yeah, but you're walking down the stroke heart attack road.
You can't look at eyes very long and not see those.
Yeah.
You have to be pretty determined to not see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So cholesterol, when you see your cholesterol is going up, you want to think a couple of things. First, my adrenals are down because my adrenal steroids are supposed to do what cholesterol is doing because they're made from it. So there's a pathway. I've even read where there's a pathway of estrogen, even though acidic has some cholesterol pathways. Don't know. It's been years since I've had chemistry. Really tore it up that way, so I can't remember. But it's enough to say that your corticosteroids are definitely antacids. Look at progesterone, for an example, a major antacid against estrogen and testosterone. And so when you start to look at these two sides of God, positive and negative, female and male, one's not good over the other. They're just two different actions that are taking place. We need to label things according to what we like and what the mind, that's the mind again, preferring this or preferring that. Well, there is no good or bad or one over another. These are just two different actions that are necessary for life to exist. The same thing with male and female. Males aren't worse over females and females are not worse over men. We're all beautiful people. We just need those opposites to make life dramatic, to make it move, to make it have activity, so I can talk to a camera or see you as an individual. Because when you take away all individuality and you go deep within all individual things, the deepest part of you and the deepest part of me and the deepest part of Marcy, that's where you find it. That's where you find what we call God. And you can only find it when you're the most alone you can get, and you're not looking outwardly, you're looking within. You will find the light. You will find the consciousness there. And no one can take you there too much. They can point the direction. You've got to spend some time alone and stop the chatter of the mind. It's just what you're doing. You're stopping the chatter or the invasiveness of acids in the human body. So when your cholesterol's up, warning, adrenal glands are going down, you're too acidic, start pulling on get those adrenals up, get your kidneys filtering, pull these acids out, and your cholesterol will go down just as beautiful as you please, because it's not meant to hurt you, it's meant to help you. However, you're supposed to be fixing what's going on here. But no one's telling anybody because they don't know. The level of consciousness on this planet is still a little low. So it's not awakened yet to some of these realities. And that's what I love about each and every one of you beautiful, beautiful souls that I'm honored to work with here. Because you guys get it. You're out teaching it. You're out working it. And I think we're going to have an incredible...
And they're starting to live it and
yeah,
experience
baby. I'm telling you, it's exciting for us. It's exciting to see that. And it should be exciting for this planet, because this planet has an opportunity to lift itself up. There's still so much going on. The thyroid gland. Well, I think that ought to be a video unto itself, don't you? Talk about the thyroid, the parathyroid, the relationship with the pituitary. We're trying, the thing I love about these guys, they know parathyroid, they know bones, they know calcium, they know pituitary. I mean, you can't even get endocrinologists to agree and scratch their heads. And that's after 10 years of study. I had an endocrinologist try to cram that down my throat, and yet he was stupid as a jaybird. And he didn't think outside the box. And I just mean unawareness. When you can't think outside of the box, schools are boxes. You don't learn all you need in schools. There isn't anybody that's had years of clinical work that tells you they learned it in school. Far from it. And I feel sorry for medical doctors because they have to learn so much more crap. What's nice about naturopathic schools, that's what you learn. That's your focus, and all the other fields related to that. That makes it fun. It makes it exciting. You're not sitting there trying to do something like calculus, which you might hate, to do something as simple as natural healing. And I think that's another problem. I feel sorry for these guys that riveted with intellectualism and then come out and they don't have the picture. And if you don't have the picture of health and chemistry and physics and how all that interacts, you're just going to be left out in the cold, and you tend to hurt people instead of help people. So the nice thing is that we're all coming together and learning life in a more simplistic form. It's freeing. It's freeing, isn't it? Simplicity is freeing to you. It frees you up, this mind and the hold that thoughts have on you. Do you ever wake up someday and you're just thinking too much and I got to stop thinking. I need to get away from that? Absolutely. It'll drain your energy like anything else.
So many times we try and focus in on one thing. People ask about proteins and what about enzymes, and they ask about all this detail. And it's not that those aren't important, but if you're too close to a picture, you can't see the details. Sometimes you need to step back and get simple and take it all in, but yet stay focused on there's all this out here, and we'll always be learning new things about the body, but always stay focused. My grandfather taught me one time on a combine. He said, you want a straight row. You find a point down there and you don't lose that point. And when you get down there, that row will be nice and straight. You start getting and looking around, and you're going to have a row that's like this. And so there is detail. Everybody can have an opinion on stuff out there, and they do. But remember, stay focused on the simplistic nature of what your health truly is.
There's not better advice than that. I really totally 100% are in line with that because, and I get this every day. Some guy was in here, poor guy, they had him loaded up and they had him on sulfur powder. Now, there's a group of people going around talking about sulfur powder. I hope to God, you guys, I've helped you to understand the nature of sulfur, and it isn't a good one. You do not want to get involved in sulfur because you will not be a happy camper for all that implies. And we've showed you sulfur in the involvement in the body with all the sulfur bowels and everything, the heavy candida problems that it yields, the almost acid reflux gassy thing there's nothing good about sulfur compounds. And sulfites, we try to get rid of them. And notice in the makeups now, sulfur free. Sulfite free, sulfate free. The other day I saw this cosmetic line and it said sulfate free. Well, if it's good for you, why'd you take it out for? And this is the problem you have with isolates, is that one day it's a miracle isolate, and the next day, oops, this could lead to chromosome damage and things like this. And so this is why you want to get away from this world of isolates into the world of holistic, more power, more focus, more energetic. It's just everything is more, and that's what you're looking for in Wellville, So the thyroid, I think, we'll do separately, and the type 2, I think, we want to mix that with our one we're going to do on that. Now here's one. Oh, I like this. Sold fears. Sold fears. Soul fears nothing nice, eh? Nardinar, is that it? Please, I cannot seem to find this information. When fasting on watermelon, do you eat the seeds and peel? Do you blend the whole thing in a blender? I have to say, now, everybody has their own take of this, but I've never taken watermelon rinds and ground them up. You can, very laxative, but to tell you the truth, I'm more into the meat of it and where the flavor is. And I think that's the draw that we have to the flavor. All seeds have a little bit of quinine in them, so you really got to be careful, even though we dump apple seeds and everything down the juicer. Remember Dr. Oz had the thing about quinine or arsenic, and that, and it's like, it is true. It is in there. And you have to understand that with a lymph system not filtering properly, cumulative effects, because blood doesn't hold things. It dumps them through the spleen and other sources into the lymph. The lymph, if it's not moving, holds these chemicals right here. It'll hold your mercury here. It'll hold. That's the system you want to detox. The blood is easy to detox. Your blood moves around the body in less than a minute. It's easy to clean the blood, clean the spleen, clean the liver. The lymph system, a beast of a whole nother color, guys. And that's what you're all up against. Watermelon, I just eat the watermelon. If you like the seeds, I don't know. In a detoxification scenario, I would say the seeds would have more of a proteinish, too concentrated. I mean, that's where all the power is, but wrong kind of power. Enzyme inhibitors and things like this are found in the seeds. High phytic acids, things like this are found in seeds. So you want to be careful. Very powerful food. I think the traditional seeds that we know of would be better, but you can do whatever you want. I know people that throw the whole thing down the blender. Seeds, rind, and everything. So I prefer just the watermelon. What's your take on that? You like the whole thing?
Well, the rind's pretty bitter. I like the sweet, the meat, like he was talking about. As far as the benefits and stuff of that, I've not looked too deeply into that. I like what watermelon meat does to me and for me.
I do too. I mean, if you're constipated as heck, taking the rind might open you up.
And if you're curious about it, eat as close to the rind and include a little bit. It's not going to hurt you.
Yeah. But as a rule, the peel's the protective layers, and you want to get them off of there and get into the meat of it. Now, opposite's true probably of a white potato, where they claim the peel has so much minerals in it. But again, I think that the mineral concept is way overdone here. I mean, there's a lot, cell life and all this stuff, and you've got your volcanic ash, and all this, and your dirts and stuff. But I'll be honest with you, I think that's mine's too low in the ground. We talked about the 256-year-old Chinese guy. We have a picture up here. It's enough to say that minerals are very difficult to be absorbed through the bowel. Clays aren't readily absorbable, if you notice that. They attract and pull and absorb and go on. There's a reason why God kept absorption of elementals low. Now, when elementals form salts, which are done by the plants, that is more like it. So when you study Schussler's cell salts, for an example, you'll understand how more powerful that is on the cell itself. And this is why I've told you before why chelation was invented, to wrap an amino acid around a mineral and get it into the bowel wall. But in reality, I think we try to get too much of the wrong stuff into the body that way, and you got to be careful with that. So the low bioavailability of elementals shows you the fact that they're not overly. They act more as stimulants. Their electrical charges are lower. When you start taking the one and as an elemental, as an individual isolate, and you start adding all its cousins together, it becomes more powerful, more magnetic, more energetic. And then when it's all complete, then you have God. And there's nothing more powerful than the deity itself. And so that's the point. The more we get into the isolates, the less powerful it is on us. And in some cases, can become free radicals. And a good example of that's calcium. If you get calcium in the body without parathormone or without the parathyroid hormone, it can act like a free radical and create severe hardening of the arteries and arthritis and stuff. So you've got to really be careful, because within an acid medium, you have ionization going on, and you can form crystals and everything else in all this process. And this is the other problem. So I think keeping it simple and not trying to treat your problems, you always find remedy. When you try to treat your conditions through all these different isolates, you never get your remedy. I've worked in this field all my life. And I've done both sides. And I'm telling you, this is where your remedy is at every level. Some might be working hard for it, remember that. But the end result is well worth it, guys. And the spiritual development you go through on this road is icing on the cake. But if you look at it in reverse, getting healthy is icing on the cake. Your spirituality should always be number one. You should always be number one. You and your understanding of who created you and what relationship you are to that. That is nirvanic. Ecstasy, joy. I can't even mention the words that one feels the closer to God you get. You lose verbiage after a point because there's no words to describe extreme ecstasy.
You know, one thing, and you and I talked about this a little bit, in my clients I've been noticing that animation life. More and more people are coming
Listen
in
to this.
backed up in that 11-to-1 area, lymphatically, cholesterol, it's brain fog, and it's breaking down that animation of life. And almost 100% of my clients that have had that area damaged or breaking down, they're having a problem feeling joy. They're having a problem feeling passion or finding passion in life, in relationships.
Wow.
And so, you know, this all up in here, this is
everything.
the brain area. We got to get that cleaned out. We've got to.
That's why I think that I've just made it part of almost everybody's protocol to go upper circulation, brain and nerve. Because just what you said, this is everything to you. This is everything to you. And getting it there, getting blood flowing more aggressively to the cells and igniting the cells, turning them on with brain and nerve. I'm telling you, it just makes just such a difference. And like you said, you got to get up. Now remember, all these animation lifelines, all these radius solarises go right to the gut. Remember, in the embryo stages. And that's the gut. And so you've got to take care of your bowels always. All right? So if you see this, and you see this is the cell, the fertilized cell, and as the fertilized cell moves toward the embryo stages, this is called the embryonic trunk. This is your spinal column and your gut tissue. And out of this little tail comes all your organs and glands and your GI tract. This later is your GI tract and your spinal column. And all your organs and glands come out of that. So you start to see the symbiotic relationship the GI tract has with everything else on there. And so this is where you go into what we were talking about. It comes out of that embryonic stages. So you got to go after the bowels. You've got to get after that colon and gut. And I think that that's been a focus of the health people since who knows how long, because look at in our studies, 1800s they were focusing on bowels, but not the kidneys.
And it's a combination.
Absolutely. You can't, that's why you see us on programs. And you brought up a good point. You can't just go after one thing. It's just, you're going to sit there and feel like you're spinning and not getting anywhere. And
Go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, not only that, but, you know, if you're so focused on your health that you can't see what's going on around you, and so many people come to me, I want to work on my diabetes, I want to work on, you know, my arthritis, whatever it may be. You cannot focus on the disease or what the doctors have called it, because okay, I may get type 2 diabetes and I may get that cleared up and I think I'm healthy. But I miss the fact that my kidneys aren't filtering, or I miss the fact that my autonomic system's a mess, and, you know, I'm not healthy after all, and I've done all this work going after diabetes, and yet I've missed something else that's going on around me.
Boy, I tell you what, I think, Marcia, you hit on a really, really important subject. And another one, and I've talked a little bit to them about that, is getting too body conscious. Because when I started doing fasting, I started feeling and listening, and I could feel the blood flowing through my body. I'm that sensitive. In this little pain, oh, what's that? Oh, what's this? You know, and I got and I realized, I've got to get away from my body. I got to get away from this. So then I started my spiritual journey, and that pulled me away from the physical body. Let it do its thing. Let it get well. You know, too much power to the body can burn it. So just kind of get away from it. Get happy and involved in something else while the body's healing itself. You have a good point here, a real important one. And the focus of diseases will lend you nowhere You might as well go full force run into that wall, because it's going to get you nowhere. These are hyped up, these are illusionary concepts of people that do not understand the processes of acidosis and the effect upon cells and other forms of chemistry in the body, and what pathogens are, lost in the world of parasites. You got to have another view of the parasitic world and its role in nature, because you have to understand, if it exists, there's a reason. And you have to ask, what's that reason in the context of the whole? And it's always sometimes hard to see that.
Yeah.
And the mind can't see the whole. That when you see the whole, that isn't the mind that's looking, that's you that's looking. The mind can only see in pieces. It analyzes, it rationalizes. The mind can only take little segments and put it together that way. It can't see the whole. Doesn't have that ability. It's an instrument of use. The consciousness that flows through the mind is you. That's why we say stop thinking, stop talking, and there's nothing you won't know. I was just talking to a lady that read Paul Twitchell's and Eckankar books. Phoebe Quantz, go ride with him for a while. He'll teach you quite a bit about stop thinking and stop talking.
And every time you focus on something negative, whether that's in the job world, your health, your emotions, but you focus on that negative, it starts to grow. It starts to become bigger and sometimes becomes overwhelming. And so don't make the health the total focus. Make the journey the focus.
Oh, I like that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because this is all about your joy and your happiness and your interaction with other individuals, because that's why God created endless pieces of itself so it could have endless experiences. If only you existed, your experiences would be rather thin. But if you divided yourself up into unlimited amounts of little pieces and you sent them off to journeys within in worlds that you created, then you would be able to experience everything, everywhere. I mean, when you take a look at why God created all these little things, ask yourself, it has to experience these. And that's why it didn't create it for us, because we are it. So you have to really take a look at what God really is, and you have to look no further than you. Now, this lady, Susan, she brought up, and I've got a client, I got to go, but she brought up a good thing here. She just finished level 1, and we talked about genetics in there. And I think, Susan, this is a good idea. We're talking about genetics and also in relationship to spirituality. I don't know what videos are down, but I have done that, and the videos talked about spirituality and the and genetics and the genetic thinking of cells and how you can change that. And it's important for you guys to remember that even though medical community and science is looking at genes and this number 2000 gene is a bad boy and stuff like that, that'll only get you confused, because they're totally confused. And genes are obvious. I mean, it is obvious that there is a movement or changing of genetic patterns as you move through your genetic history. That's obvious. And it is not difficult to turn that whole thing around. If you have to go back to what mutates genetic memories. Well, every experience from day to day is a genetic change, because that consciousness every day changes so slightly the awareness of yourself and the awareness of your cells. Every day you grow. You never go backwards. You might think you do, but every day you learn and grow, and something different comes and you expand. And when you look back over your life, you find that that's why we use age and use the word wisdom. Because people generally beat up pretty good through the younger years, and then as they get wiser, they go, well, there's a hole over there, don't step in it. I fell in it 2 or 3 times. That's it. But that genetic change in your consciousness, and the same thing of the cells. And if the cells see nothing but acids and negativity and things like this, that's the level they understand. Yep.
Your cells have memory, and you can actually change those cells' memory.
Absolutely.
Taking every thought captive, turning it into a positive.
That's it. That's it. I've always said, you have 100 trillion cells roughly in the human body. Put a smiley face on every one of them. Can you imagine 100 trillion cells smiling? And your body's going to feel good. This is from Japan, and I just want to close this out by saying thank you, sweetheart. Excellent, excellent, excellent. This is a gift from a Japanese student. Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We appreciate all your loves. And we wish you all well, and we're here for you. You know, we're always here for you, and we're here as close as your dreams. You look in your dreams. You call on the masters to help you. We'll be there for you. We'll take you on journeys. We'll help you to unfold yourself. So, but also take active role in your growth. We love you all. You're so great. Every one of you. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are the new world in every way, shape, or form. So we'll see you until next time. What is it? Where are we from? Indiana. Adios. Isn't that what? Isn't that what?
What is it?
What was the Lone Ranger? Oh, I don't know. But till we meet again. Till we meet again.
Till we meet
Till we
again.
meet again. That's it. Thank you guys so much. I love you all. Have a good day.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right.